Yeah, hi. It's Tilde from the Orry Mill. And Stephen?
I'm smiling because I was really grumpy last time, and I'm not always that grumpy. Well, okay, I am always that grumpy.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but in knitting, maybe I'm become happier. So I am genuinely quite happy because the last episode, I'm a complete beginner.
Yeah, and you were trying to knit this hat, weren't you?
Let's see the hat.
Yeah, this one. But as it's kind of more of a skull cap. You were
More of a
trying-
skull cap. So we've knitted. This is the first time I've knitted, and it's in Garter Stitch, correct?
Yep. Well done.
And then we took it's a bit shorter in height, just to have it, as you said, a kind of skull cap.
Yeah.
And then no pom pom.
No pom-pom.
And we
yeah.
used this nice. Oh, I forgot to.
Yeah, but actually, maybe we should say that the pattern here you cast on 21 stitches, where you then decided to recast it on 15 to make it shorter. So.
Oh yeah, so the cast on determines the height.
Yeah.
So we're knitting it kind of, as it just showed. This is almost like
Yeah.
a piece of, not quite fabric, but a piece of kind of.
Well, it's
thing.
called a knitted fabric.
It's a knitted fabric that's to wrap around my head.
Yeah.
And then now what we're going to do. So I'm quite pleased with that.
Yeah.
I found it. You did help.
Yeah, just in the beginning, I think you had made some couple of mistakes.
Well, when you started to knit the garter stitch the first time, I did make some mistakes at this top end, and it was 4 or 5 rows in. I think the other thing and you helped. Sorry, I was 4 or 5 rows in, made some mistakes, and you helped untangle it. But then by the time I got beyond 5 and was in a rhythm, I did the rest without making a mistake.
Yeah. With me even being in the house.
But it says a lot that it probably did help. Obviously, not probably. It did help that you were there to untangle it.
Yeah, I do that a lot in the classes as well. That people make that. What you had done was called an accidental yarn over. Yeah, you basically created a stitch and you created a hole in your fabric.
An accidental yarn over.
Yes, because
Once
yarn.
upon a time, there was an accidental yarn over.
Mm,
Very sad.
yeah.
But so it's quite good having you as expert knitter to help me. And yeah, I was quite pleased. I'm quite pleased with that. I think the other thing was maintaining tension's interesting. So not obviously, I hate saying obviously, nothing's obvious. I would like to get good enough to do fine knitting.
Yeah, you want to do pretty much lace kind of weight yarn.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like the wee fine string.
Fine string, kind of fine,
Yeah.
lightweight jumper.
Yeah.
A lightweight, and that's fine. That's called lace weight wool, is it?
Yeah, I just know that the fineness you want is this kind of lace weight yarn. So
Okay.
yeah.
So the second thing that was tension. I made some mistakes. The tension was difficult. And what else is the thing we were talking about?
So one of the things with when you're mentioning the tension is that this yarn helps you keep a better tension than a lot of other yarns. It's because it is so stretchy, this one, and
Yeah.
see if your tension was a little bit uneven, you can actually just give it a good shook,
Yeah.
and then the tension will almost kind of the fabric was almost kind of even out. So this yarn is making this one is making your knitting look the best it can be.
I think
that's
so.
why it is so good for beginners.
Yeah. So I quite enjoyed doing that. So if I remember correctly, last time we did, to make this, you had to long tail cast on.
Yeah.
Then we did started stitching, and I was doing picking stitches.
You were starting to knit and you were doing the kind of continental way, which is called the picking method.
The picking method.
Yeah, and the UK method is called
Throwing
method. Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is you're going to show me how to cast off.
Yeah.
So it becomes a kind of piece of fabric, knitted fabric in itself. And then we're going to wrap it around my head, and we're going to use this little needle to sew it up.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about wrapping around your head, you really need to do that before you cast off, just to make sure that you got the right size. So if you try it on, try and keep the joint to the front. So it really needs to be really snug. So it needs to be like super snug.
I think, yeah, it does feel quite tight. And you,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I remembered. I forgot to say. So you in your pattern, it's pure Baltic.
Yeah.
Pattern. You said something like 57 rows or something.
No, 64 rows.
64 rows.
Yeah.
Now I thought, we should do overhead camera for this, but I thought a row was like, oops,
One of those lines.
one of those lines, but it's not.
No, each line here is actually 2 rows. That's how you count your rows. You count your kind of regarter lines, and each line is 2 rows. If you look really closely at it, you can actually see that there's like almost like 2 lines on top. One.
But there's 2 lines close together, then there's a kind of gap.
But also, so if you look at one of them is like a smile and the other one is a frown.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely the frown.
I am the personification of a garter stitch. Okay.
Okay, I think that's enough.
That's enough. Right, so let's get into this. So the point of that was I was way off. I was doing like 26, 27, 28, and you went, no, stop, you've got enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it around my head, which we've done. So we're happy that it's kind of, it's tight.
It's
that
very
is really tight.
Yeah.
But you
but
think it'll stretch a little
so
bit?
the yarn, it does stretch. So if it feels
I do think it is too tight.
Yeah, if it feels too tight, you're the right size. If it feels that it's the right size, it's too loose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's too tight, right size. Let's switch to our overhead cam, and then what we're going to do, cast off.
Cast off, yeah. I'll let you cast off.
And high. I quite like our cast. I know. Oh, we've got the elephant, the Indian elephant. Is it an Indian elephant?
Well,
we're not sure. We need to find out.
It was in a Simply Crochet magazine. You got the pattern and then all the beads, and I just kind of crocheted it up. And
it is a few years old now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I would like to redo it in West Yorkshire Spinners Colour Lab. I think that could be.
Why is that?
Just because I like to crochet in wool. That one is crocheted in acrylic, and I'm not super happy. I think the pattern wanted you to crochet it in cotton, but I prefer to crochet in wool.
Okay, that's right, elephant. We'll maybe do a video on that at some point. Okay, but knitting. We're going to cast off. So what do I do now?
So if you take your yarn up as if you're to knit, so you knit the first 2 stitches.
Where's my long tail? So that's the actual ball.
Yeah, that's what's left of it. Yeah. So
now, this wasn't quite a ball of 100 grams.
No.
And I've only knitted 15 stitches, and then something like 27 rows. No, sorry. 57.
54 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, your tension will determine how many rows. No, you need to do it the other way.
How do you know that?
Because I can see you need to have your tip out where your tail, but your
your
working
tip
yarn.
and your tail. Right. Okay,
yeah.
That's good to know. So now I bring it
working
round.
Yarn. So yeah, so knit the
What am I
first
doing?
two. Knit the first 2 stitches. And you need to do this quite loosely because you don't want a too tight cast off. So
this is just me picking them through.
yeah. So now you'll take the so use your tip of your left needle and put it underneath from the other side, because you're going to lift that stitch. You're going to lift let me show you first here. So you're going to lift the first stitch over the second stitch, kind of slide it off the needle and keep that second stitch on your needle, and then you're knitting 1 more stitch and you do that again. So you use your tip of your left needle to lift it over the second stitch, and you can see I'm using my index finger to kind of hold on to the second stitch.
I'm not getting this. So
knit the next stitch
and then
use the tip of your left needle to go under the first stitch.
Yep.
and then you lift it, and I'm using my index finger just so it doesn't, both of them slide over. So, and then I'm lifting that stitch over the stitch and the needle. So if you try that.
So I knit the first stitch.
Yeah.
Where's my tail?
This is not your tail, that's your working yarn.
My working yarn. I'm knitting that through.
Yeah. If you hold your hands just a little bit closer to the table. Yeah, there you go, that's your focus.
And then take this and come here.
But from the other side.
On this side.
Yeah.
This is quite fiddly.
Yeah, it is.
And then
you kind of, you need to lift that stitch over the second stitch. So just use your index finger to kind of control that. Yeah, that's right. And there you go, you cast off the first stitch and then the next one.
So I'm bringing these up.
Yeah, you
to meet.
Keep pushing your stitches up on your left needle.
Does that come off?
Yeah, and then under, and then try and open up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, this seems all really messy. So I've always got one stitch.
Yes, you have
on the go on the other side.
Yeah. So the way you
no,
you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, this is really hard. I think I've not got
Try
caught all the yarn. Okay.
There you go.
It seems really loose.
And if you hold your hands just a little bit closer to the table so people can see.
Wow, this is quite hard.
It's just to you get the hang of it. But what's really kind of common here is that people cast off way too tight. So if you were to cast off a neckline of a jumper and you did it too tight, you can't get it over the head. And what people often think is that, oh, I have to redo the whole neck.
Yep.
But that's not the case.
It's just
it's really just a cast
tight.
off. Yeah, so redo your cast off, and it's
okay,
often.
I'm a wee bit lost. Oh, there you go. I use my fingers to pull the thing back. Right, okay.
So I don't think you have many left to go. Yeah, concentration.
I can see this going wrong, but I mean it's going right at the moment, but I can see this being quite tricky.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of drop your stitches off, but see, if you did drop your stitches, it should be fairly easy to put them back onto your needles.
Oops. Wait a minute, now, okay.
Yeah, you got another two, and then
knitting, and then what do you call? This is just called cast off, or is it an actual
cast
name?
off? Yeah, that's
the whole thing's casting off.
Yeah, and in American, I think it's called binding off. So
binding off. What do I do the last one?
So you still lift that one.
I still
over.
have to do this.
You still have to do that one, and then off. And now you cut your yarn. So make sure you got you want to use these ones to sew up with. So make sure you got quite a long tail. So
okay.
if you
did I pull this out?
Yeah, you pull that up, but
what will happen to it?
Just pull it up like this, right? So now it's not going to run anywhere. Take your scissors and cut your yarn.
So I'm cutting.
Yeah, and then you just pull that. You're pulling the loop, so the yarn just comes off, and there you go. It's nothing.
So now we can take this away.
Yeah.
So I've quite a lot of fabric, a wee bit left, 25 grams or something, less than that, maybe 15 grams. But
Yeah.
We've now got
So-
a piece of fabric, knitted fabric, and it's got, oops, you can't see, it's got a bit long, a tail here, and then a tail, you can't see a tail here. Both
Yeah.
quite long. And then we're going to knit this, and wrap it around my head and tie it, and sew it up.
We're going to sew it up. No, we're not going to sew it up while you have it on your head.
Right.
So if you fold up, so we're looking at it, what way is the one that looks the best? I think this is the one.
What do you mean looks the best?
I can see this
So
is
what side
tiny.
looks the best?
Yes, what side looks the best. So there's a wee thing here where I think the wool is split a little bit on that side, so we're going to put that inside.
They're not 100% even either, though. I noticed that this one's quite big.
Yeah, sometimes you might have been a little bit tighter in these ones, and then that's a common kind of beginner thing, that your tension isn't totally even. So again, that's why we're using this wool. But anyway, this is your wrong side, so we're going to kind of fold them up because you're actually going to sew up from the right side.
The right side being visible to the world.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
side you're showing. Okay.
And that often happens in knitting, that you're doing that. You're sewing up from the front. A lot of intuitively we want to sew up from the back because that's how you do if you were using a kind of a sewing machine.
Yep.
But in knitting, it's much better to sew up from the front because you can actually see what you're doing, and you can see. It just gives a better finish.
Okay. So what do we do now?
So now we're having a wee look again. I'm looking at the edges here to see which one do we want to which one looks nicest, because we want to keep, I think this edge here looks nicest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one we're going to sew up from, and we're going to gather the top up here.
I'm bringing the ruler into shot
Yeah.
just to get a sense of size.
So I'm going to swing it round here. So first of all, get your needle on.
Now, how'd you do that? Now wait a minute, you did that quite cleverly. What do you do?
Yeah, so I take my needle and I then pinch it really hard, so I get like
A
an
thin
edge.
edge.
And then I'm kind of just wiggling it and it goes on.
Okay, good.
So first of all we just want to
Move it up a wee bit.
attach these ones together, but what we're wanting to sew up in is, can you see you got a garter stitch ridge here, so you got your frowns going here,
Mm-hmm.
and you got your smiles and then your frowns here,
Yep.
and over here we're going to find the one where we have the smiles and the frowns. So again here, this one is your cast on edge,
How do you know that?
and this one is your cast off edge.
How can you see that?
It's just, you can see these ones, you can almost see the stitches lying there, whereas this one is a little bit more, it doesn't have that same, it's just expedient really, I think.
Okay.
But the one where you can really see the stitches from the top, that's your cast off.
Okay.
You can almost see the V's going. Anyway, we first of all just want to attach the end together. So I go just from the front to the back
Oh,
and then
that's
back
good.
up.
Right, okay.
So I now want to follow, on this side I want to follow the smiles. So I'm following that line here, I'm going under a frown, and over here I'm going under a smile, and I'm going to follow a frown up, so you can, does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of. You just do a few more so I can see.
Yeah, and so you follow that frown and you're going into a smile up in this end, and then you're going back into where you came from,
Mm-hmm.
under that frown.
Yep.
And over on this side you want to follow the smile round and pop your needle under the frown and back up to where your yarn came from.
Mm-hmm.
And then you follow the frown going under the smile,
Yep.
and you're going in where you came from, which is this one here. Sometimes that can be a little bit hard to see. If you want to then pull in this one, you can see where it comes out of. So here you go. And you can see how neat that seam is beginning to look. So, do you want to try?
Right, so do this frown thing again.
So you're following the frown there. Sorry, the smile, sorry, you're following the smile and you're going in under a frown. There. And then you're going over to where the yarn came out from in the other side. And that's there, yeah. That's right. This is really hard. Takes a bit of practice to do this. You're following the frown and going under a smile. You'd gone a little bit too much. Can you see you got the... Yeah, there you go. And then you're back into where you came from, over from the other side. Can you see? Yeah, there. Don't pull too tight. You want it. You basically want to have some sort of gap in between.
What would you do if this ran out and you only got to like there?
You'll just attach another bit of yarn.
Okay, we'll maybe do that another time. But it looks like we've got enough here. And what do we do with this end?
Well, when you sew this up, you'll find out.
Great. Okay, so we'll do one more and then we'll maybe...
Will I finish it after this?
Yeah. So what do we do? One more time?
So over there.
This one?
Yeah.
Through this one?
And over to where you came from, yeah.
And then
you're following the frown under a smile, and then you're going back over to where you came from.
Wow, that is quite hard. Let's see if I can, without you saying then, I'm going to go follow the smile, no?
Yep.
And that's in the frown there.
Yeah.
And then back through this one, which is where I came from.
Yeah, that's correct.
And then pull gently, and then the same again to go back. I'm going to go here.
Yeah. Let me just get, yeah, that's right.
It's kind of two there. Yeah.
Yeah, there is two. Because
that's quite hard. And then back to where I came from, which is there.
Yeah.
That's easier, quite tricky.
It's easier over on that side because the garter ridge isn't...
The garter ridge, okay,
yeah,
that's good.
the garter ridge isn't as close to the cast on edge as it is to the cast off. So if I finish this one,
well, we'll do by the magic of television and pause and come back when you're finished.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're finished more or less, but you've got two. You reckon two more to go?
Yeah, I'm just having a wee look here because I think we might have gone in the kind of.
Okay, right.
So sometimes you have to keep taking it out and redoing it. So back in here. It's quite a loose one here, but it doesn't matter. Back in, came from, and follow this one round. And this is where we stop. So you can see we haven't got much of an end left, so I will then take the other end and I'll actually make a wee knot here.
So it's just a simple knot, there's nothing special about it, you're just tying it twice.
I'm just tying it twice.
Knot, right?
Yeah.
Why, how do we know that it'll stay? Well, okay.
It will stay, but I will also weave this wee bit in.
Oh, you're going to weave it in, right? Yeah. Okay.
So
we're sewing up. We've cast off, we're sewing up the two sides,
yeah,
and we've still to weave. What do we do now then?
So now you want to pull this in. Oh, you want to kind of scrunch this in, and you do that.
Can I put it on my head?
Yeah, you can put it on your head now. Just put that needle in there. You can.
So the needle's in. Will that pop out if I do that?
No, I think you should.
Oh, I see. So it's much more. Okay. So it's going to be quite a tight skull cap, I think.
Yeah, it's looking quite good.
Okay. So the next bit is to, let's go back to overhead cam. And we're back.
Yeah, so now you want to run this this yarn through all the wee bumps. Can you see the bumps at the top?
Yep.
So you basically just
All of them.
all of them. So if you do that, and then you pull it tight.
Is that it?
Yeah. And the next one.
Is that it?
Yeah, it doesn't have
Why
to
not
be
be
like
that one as well?
no, just one for every garter. For every garter ridge, you just do it once.
For every garter ridge, just do it once.
Yeah.
What is a garter?
I don't know.
Well, we need to look that up.
I think so. That's your job.
What is garter, like stockings? What does that mean?
What?
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I think there's stockinette stitch.
Exactly, I think it's all linked. Right, okay, so how do I know that I'm through? Because it's different. I can go through there.
Yep. And then you just keep pulling. Just pull your.
Is it out of focus in our camera?
Yes, I think you're fine here. So just pull your needle out and pull the yarn through. There you go. And you can do.
So now we're back at the beginning.
Yeah,
What do we do?
Just pull it, and it closes off the.
I'll take the needle out.
No, not yet. So because we want to make sure that we kind of secure this one. So don't pull it too tight because you can actually break your yarn. So I tend to go.
Hold on, where are you going for this?
I'm just kind of trying to go round in this circle. It doesn't matter if I catch them all. Just a second. A wee second round. Can you see almost these bits there? So now we're round kind of a second time. We can tie it onto this bit here again, and then we'll pop these two into the middle.
Yep.
Into the back, and we'll just get this.
Out of focus a wee bit.
So this one is the other end back in. So now here we got this wee ridge, and we can sew in the ends into this one.
Why? Sorry, hold on. Is that where our ends are both sides?
Yeah, so this is where you did your seam. So you can see you've got a wee
alright, okay.
kind of ridge there.
Yeah.
And that's the one I tend to sew in my ends. So I will just kind of I actually poke it into the yarn.
Into the yarn, which is quite against everything we've been doing, but I can see that it gets for a finer weave.
It just locks it in, and I like to then go back in.
You're doubling back now.
And doubling back a little bit, yeah.
Just why? Just to get all the weave.
It basically locks itself in, so now it won't. Now it won't come apart. So if you give this a wee cut, right down there. So the way to try and weave this in, because again we can't obviously do that, is basically just poke your needle in where you want it. I don't think it'll go in for, and then I will thread the yarn.
So you put so for the last wee bit, which is fiddly, you've put the needle in first and then
just kind of
so okay, I can see that. That's quite clever.
If this one will poke out again, what I might do is I might take a felting needle and then felt that end into the yarn.
So I don't know what that means. That means to create felt by
Yeah, so it's
stabbing it.
Yeah.
And basically you break up all the fibres and they all connect together.
Yeah, you
That's quite cool. Okay.
you're basically poking fibres into fibres with the needle, and has like spatial kind of I don't know what you call them, like
connectivity.
yeah,
Stickiness. Have we now done the hat?
Yeah, we're now going the hat.
So there is my first beanie with a lot of help from my wife. Wow. I mean, my goodness. I look like I'm from Portland in Oregon. And why can't I get it straight? I'm going to drink...
What, craft beer?
I'm going to drink craft beer and have a beard. I do actually quite like it. I think we've made a mistake. I can't get my head straight. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I think we've made a mistake in making it too short. The skull cap I now don't like as much. I mean, it's okay. Maybe I did that. Sort of. It's okay. But it's a wee bit kind of cross between a monk and... It keeps your head warm. But I did notice that I have this colour. You're on the light there. It's a nice green. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, and yeah.
And it's a nice match to this. Oops. So, how would I do a band? I can't just stick a band on this.
Well,
And then I could turn. So I'm.
So to do that turn up and to get that effect of the rib,
I'd have to knit it differently.
you have to knit it differently, and you have to use a technique called intarsia if we're going to knit it.
So this is what I mean. I mean, I'd like the band. This is all a different colour, but I'd like the band to be.
Yeah.
And maybe not this fancy stitch, just as simple like this, but with this colour.
Yeah.
So I'd have to have knitted it in the round. So rather than knitting the height of it, rather than knitting the circumference,
Yeah.
I'm knitting the height of it. I'm knitting it. It kind of comes out as a hat, almost as a tube. It comes out as a tube.
So if you wanted to do it, the easiest way is to knit this kind of in the round and just do it striped, because this is really just a stripe in the bottom. But because we were knitting it sideways, if you're to do that bit here in a different colour, you have to use a technique called intarsia.
Intarsia.
We can try it.
What does intarsia mean? Just means that.
It just means that, yeah. So do you want to try it and see?
Not right now. I want to see. Maybe show the projects you're working on. I mean, so this didn't take 5 hours. This took literally. I mean, even me as a beginner knitter, I knitted this, or the knitted fabric in literally under. It was actually about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah.
Which is quite good, because I thought it'd be much longer than that. And then, okay, so obviously I needed help sewing it up, and I would imagine if someone else is trying it for the first time, they'd need help sewing it up.
Yeah, so you just need to practice that sewing up, and I'll make a really good video of how to do it.
I will say one thing though, and we've talked about this before with the shop. This wool is very nice.
It is, yeah.
So
It's a very popular.
I might not be as fond of this. So I'm fond of it because I've made it, or I imagine I'm going to be fond of it because I made it. So I now know exactly how it's constructed, but I'm also fond of it because it's a nice wool.
Yeah.
And I know through experience that this will keep my head very warm, because it's such a lovely merino wool and it's so soft. It's good, that's a good thing. Whereas if it was in an acrylic, maybe a bit more throwaway. And I don't think we're not into that, are we here?
No.
At the Orry mill.
No, and it's not. See, if you had knitted in an acrylic, it wouldn't really be warm, because acrylic is pretty much plastic. So obviously that doesn't keep warmth as well as. So if you, again, people, if they're knitting for the homeless, it's quite important that you're knitting in wool, so it can keep them warm. Acrylic simply.
Do we know where this wool comes from? We'll have to find out, maybe.
I
don't. It's British merino.
No, this one is not British. Well, you can't really pinpoint this wool where that comes from. I think it comes into a big, where some of the other yarns from Rowan, they can specifically see that it's British.
Oh,
Whereas this one is from a pool of.
Okay, an aggregated pool of yarns, a pool of what do you call a sheep's? What do you call it? There's bales, and then there's a.
But I'm pretty sure that they don't use anything that's mulesed. So that
Mulesed is quite interesting. Let's talk about that another time at mulesed, and let's talk about where, because that'll be a good podcast, a good vlog. Where does wool come from? How sustainable is it? How eco-friendly is it? And I know that it feels that wool should just be naturally or logically very eco-friendly, but some groups say that it's not as eco-friendly as you think. Now we think it is. I think it is, and you think it is. And most British wool is very eco-friendly.
Yeah, well, most British wool obviously is farmed to a kind of high standard. So especially the ones that's where you're knitting with it.
Okay, we digress.
I think actually, yeah, I think you remember this one here is your seam, so you need to put that at the back.
All right. Okay. Thank you for showing me how to knit a beanie.
So do you want to see some of the ones I'm working on at the moment?
Yeah, let's show me some of this Rowan stuff.
Well, it's not all Rowan, but so yeah, I'm knitting this.
Right, so this is not merino, is it? This is
organic cotton and organic wool. Yes, it is. I'm pretty sure it was merino.
I think it
wool.
says in the pattern.
Yeah, so this one here.
What do you call this?
This is a Poppet sweater. So this is the pattern. We printed it out.
Oh, it's not very good on camera.
No.
I'll have to show that somehow else.
Yeah. So that is the Poppet sweater. So I'm in the middle of recording a video of how to knit it.
You're doing a video of how to knit this.
Yeah. So I've done the back, and I'm now on to the front. So this is one of my projects.
So hold on. Is this intarsia?
No, intarsia is when you're knitting two colours at the same time.
So this is, but you're knitting in the round? No?
No, I'm not knitting. I'm knitting.
Is this
flat.
normal knitting?
Yeah, normal knitting.
What stitch are you using?
This is Garter Stitch, just like the hat.
Alright, so let's look at that on camera and pause.
So. And
hold on, and back. Okay, so
this is
Garter Stitch, but this bit's not Garter. This bit, what's happening here is a band here.
So this bit here is really just I'm doing some increases. So I'm doing some yarn overs, and these ones, when I said that accidental yarn overs you've done in your hat, these ones are deliberate yarn overs.
Good. Okay.
So because they're.
How long would it take you to knit this then?
Well, that one doesn't. It takes maybe, if I'm guess, maybe 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, so not nothing, but still it's very nice.
So
again, we can't see it. You can see it's the Bloom Rowan. It's designed by Erika Knight.
Yeah, that Erika Knight has designed this one. Yeah.
This has got a big one in Britain, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is very popular in the shop. A lot
and
of
in the UK.
Yeah, Erika Knight is a fabulous designer.
Can you get this in the US?
Yeah, you can get it in the US as well.
Right. Okay.
Rowan does sell the yarn,
and on your video, you're showing people who have got this how to go about it.
Yeah, I'll show you how to go about knitting that one. Then,
okay, and what else have you got?
So I've actually finished another one from this Bloom collection.
So this is similar but slightly different.
Yeah. So this is a wee crossover one that I've managed to just finish and sew in all the buttons.
And what's this called? It's the same collection?
It's the same collection. It's called Cutie Pie, this one.
Again.
So again here is...
And it's Bloom, Rowan.
And again it's Erika Knight, who's a fabulous, just doing some fabulous...
And it's in this lovely cotton wool.
Yes.
Now that doesn't mean cotton... I was confused what you mean by cotton wool, but that's just what they call the mix of something like 40 cotton, 60 merino, or 60.
No, it's 60
other
cotton.
Way around, 60 cotton, 40 merino.
Yeah. So that's...
Now that's Rowan, Erika Knight, but you've got your own designs you're doing.
So I am doing my most popular design is the Scottish Raindrops blanket. And I have rewritten the pattern for the cotton wool because I absolutely love knitting it.
Okay, that's interesting. So every time you use a different wool, your tension thickness, or is it your thickness is different or something?
So because this is, even though it's supposed to be, it's kind of a unique weight, the cotton wool, so it's a little bit thicker than
this is Rowan cotton wool as well? and you've got this just subtle border happening.
Yeah, so that's called moss stitch.
Moss stitch, and what's this?
And then it's actually called the little granite stitch.
Granite.
Little granite.
Little granite.
Yeah.
And a moss stitch.
So, and it just reminded me of kind of the rain falling, so that was why it was called Scottish Raindrops.
How romantic.
You're
You're so romantic.
And another thing I've been working on.
So that, hold on, this is yours. This is your design, and that's very nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm working on a couple of other
But you
designs.
don't have these designs printed out yet, do you?
No, I have the Scottish Raindrops.
But you don't have these socks. You were
So
these are your socks.
These ones are my socks, yeah.
But this is not cotton wool, is it?
No,
What's
that
this?
is Regia Premium Yak, Merino Yak it's called.
Coming from an actual yak.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of yak in it.
Yeah, they're a bit heavier.
No, they're actually finer wool.
Sorry, I mean they feel a bit more, not as, they're soft, but it's not as baby soft as
No,
that.
there's a little bit more, kind of, I like to call it bite to it.
Bite
but
is a
this
good
is
term.
This is still a very, very soft wool, and it's lovely for socks.
Yeah.
So this one, I think I've decided to call it the Fern socks.
Right, because what's this stitch here called?
It's a version of a broken rib.
Broken rib.
Yeah, so
Nice.
you've got a rib at the
What's
top.
at the top?
The top.
This is a top, is a rib.
So the top is I think it's a 2x2 rib. And these ones were actually some I decided to start off when I went to the cinema with our son. I wanted something to do in the cinema, so.
So how long did these take? These socks are pretty much finished. How long did they take?
So they take a bit longer. Socks can be a little bit time consuming, so I think they're probably taking me maybe 8 hours per sock.
That's a long time.
So sock knitting it's
Leave it
quite
fiddly.
but it's quite handy because you can take it everywhere. You just have a tiny wee project, and so again I could take it to cinema. Yeah, so the last project that I'm working on is actually linked to the socks. So this is going to be the Fern hat. So I've knitted the brim.
Hold on, bring it into the pitch frame. So this is the same as the sock, same Regia yak.
No, it's not.
Right, what's this?
So this one is a West Yorkshire Spinners.
Why is the colour so alike?
Yeah, it's just happened to be so similar. This is a blue-faced Leicester. It's called Fleece DK.
So this is probably British wool.
Yeah, that's British.
But this
wool.
is more international, not quite sure.
That's international. Well, this is British. Yeah.
This is probably 100% British wool.
Yeah.
West Yorkshire Spinners, blue-faced Leicester is a sheep breed, and that is a nice feeling wool, but it's still got that bite to it. A little bit, no?
Yeah, it has. It's not something I would use for baby stuff.
No, but it's a
So-
nice winter hat or a nice
Yeah.
autumn hat.
Yeah, so this is a 2x1 rib, so you can see the rib bit.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
good.
So it's actually because this is the Fern hat, so I'm going to now go in and do this stitch I have in the socks. You can see that these wee bubbles, and then that's the part I'm getting to now. Anyway.
Excellent. That's good. So let's go back to main camera.
Yeah.
And we're back. So I feel quite proud of myself that you've shown me how to do a hat. What would I do now? Because we did one stitch called the Garter Stitch. So I think, as far as I'm aware, knitting is knit and purl.
Yeah, so this one was just the knit stitch. So now we need to go in and learn how to do the purl stitch. So I'm thinking that you might want to do a hat in stocking stitch.
Well, I want to do a hat because I want to, it's nice having the skull cap, but let's have one where there's maybe we use up this wool, because I've got more of this as well, and it has more of a turn up, and then I did a longer hat then. Cause I might
we might start off with a rib so you can learn how to do the purl stitch, and then instead of knitting it sideways, we'll knit it up the way.
Let's do that. Okay. I hope you're enjoying this. Please comment and tell us what you think, and don't even know where to look, and like and subscribe, and yeah, I'm going to keep knitting. Even if you don't watch, I'm going to keep knitting. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.